Despite the way that I speak about religion, I really don't have a problem with religion or God. Um, I don't really care what people want to believe. My only issue comes up when people try to force those beliefs onto everybody else. Your kids are the first people in this world to be brainwashed, and you're the first people in this world to brainwash them. With that being said, all I do is ask questions and point out things that I see that make no sense. So when I made a video and I asked the question, well, if God is in control of everything, what exactly have you accomplished? I'm just asking a question. You believe that God is in control of everything, therefore, your actions mean nothing. I asked the question, um, if you need God to be a good person, then you're not a good person because God is in control of everything. You fear God, so therefore, you're doing it to not piss off God. Therefore, you can't be a good person because it's not natural. Again, I don't care what people believe. I'm just asking questions. I'm just picking things apart. I get responses, nice little conversations, nothing too crazy. And I appreciate the conversations. I really do. I do this with everything. It's not just religion. I do real estate, finances, government. I do it with everything. But as far as religion goes, a lot of it makes no sense to me. And here's why, because I did get a few responses to those videos. Now, if you believe that God is in control of everything, God knows all, God sees all, then you can't possibly believe that there's such a thing as free will. Because when you come to a fork in the road in life, since God knows all, sees all, and is in control of everything, that means that God already knows what path you're taking. God is making you take that path. Therefore, you can't possibly believe in free will. With that being said, since this logic seems to go over people's heads, you also can't possibly be a critical thinker. Never mind the simple fact that you also follow blindly. When you follow something blindly, there's no thinking involved. So if you're following God blindly, then you are not thinking for yourself. See, just things that I see that I point out that make no sense. Um, I'll get some pushback and stuff, and people will say, okay, so what is your point anyway? Well, the point is this: if God knows all, sees all, and is in control of everything, then that means that everything that happens, including all the evil stuff, is because God wanted it to happen. Since God also is perfect and makes no mistakes, that means that slavery was done on purpose. That means that the Holocaust was done on purpose. This is the part where people will go, there's a Satan. Well, God created Satan. God knows all, sees all. When God created Satan, God knew exactly what Satan would do. Therefore, it's done on purpose. But then again, God created Satan, and Satan decides, I'm going to punish the bad people, which is the same thing human beings do here on earth. So, what's the problem? You see, it doesn't make sense. And if you don't believe me when I say God is in control of everything, there's no such thing as free will or critical thinking, I can very simply use your own religious book that you refer to as Revelations. It's all mapped out. And the thing is that that's not even the only book that predicts end times. So it's not even just one religion, it's like all of them. So again, I don't have an issue with God. I don't care what people believe. Keep to yourself. Okay? Don't force it onto anybody else. Because the truth of the matter is, and this is interesting because somebody asked me the question, they said, what happens if you're wrong? And I had to scratch my head because wrong about what? I'm not taking a side either way. There could be a God, absolutely. There absolutely could be a God. Is it the God that you're talking about? No. You know why? Because you're a moron. You can't even tell me what's going on at your next door neighbor's house. You could barely tell me what's going on with your own kids. You're going to tell me about God? That is very arrogant. As I stated in a pretty previous video, you have to think about the arrogance it takes for someone to say that they can speak for God, that God needs their help to do everything, anything, like the creator of everything needs your help to do what now? I'm sorry, none of it makes sense. It just doesn't. So it's not so much that I have an issue with stuff, it's just that it makes no sense. None of it makes sense. And that's all I'm saying. You can believe whatever it is you want to believe, keep it to yourself. Your private religious beliefs have no business in public life. I'm sorry. It just doesn't. There's really no nicer way to say it. Like, you can believe whatever you want, but I mean, I'll give you an example. Something bad happens, everybody always gives thoughts and prayers. Do you not think, do you think that God doesn't know what just happened? I mean, when you pray for the less fortunate, do you think that God doesn't know they are less fortunate? I mean, what is the thought process here? How does this work exactly? And I just have questions. That's all. That's all. That's all it is. It's me pointing things out. How do you feel blessed in a world where people suffer and struggle? That is like the definition of selfish. I mean, if people actually started to behave the way they claim to believe, then you wouldn't spend your entire life chasing man-made things. See how that works? Again, could there be a God? Absolutely. Are you going to be the one to? No. No. You can't possibly know. And that's all I want is for people to be honest. They don't know. That's all. I mean, if you want, I could seriously just pick apart your religion. Like, you're telling me, I heard this, okay? Someone gave the explanation that God exists outside of space and time. Therefore, space and time does not affect anything that God does. The ramblings of some people just drive me nuts. First off, time doesn't exist. It's not real. Time is man-made. We measure time in distance, rotations around the sun, rotations the earth takes. Time itself doesn't exist. And it's very simple to understand that. Again, if you look at the Bible, it says in the beginning. Well, in the beginning of what? It has to be in the beginning of earth, because there was nothing before that except God. Except for now you have a God who would still need a creator himself or herself, sitting around in nothingness, all alone, by themselves. Notice I said by themselves, because I don't know if God is man, woman, or something else. But now you have that notion of God sitting around in nothingness by themselves. And there has to be a different beginning than the beginning that they were talking about in the Bible. See how easy that is? I could pick apart most of the stories in your religious text. It's not even that difficult to do. For you animal lovers out there, whew, the things that God did in the story of Noah. Yeah, he made Noah lead the animals two by two, but then the other animals were drowned for the sin of being an animal. Except for the sea life, of course, which never really gets explained. Anyway, whatever. My thing is, it's your beliefs. That's fine. Believe what you want. Keep to yourself. Other people don't need it. You know. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.